Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. Be sure to check me out over on Rumble. There you'll find all of my stuff from YouTube, plus my political and social commentary and weekly current events, which YouTube frowns on. Links to my Rumble channel, as well as my other YouTube channels, and links to let you order my books are in the description of this video. If you enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. Now, on with the video. Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an unexplained incident story on the Captain Carnage. This is out there. I ran across a story the other day, and I couldn't. I heard the story on a video. Another program did it, and I did a little research, and it's pretty accurate. This actually did happen. A lot of people thought that it was a lie being told by the individual in question, but a law enforcement officer and some deputies went out and verified it. At least enough of the details to where, you gotta give it a little bit of credibility there. So here we go. The Captain Carnage. This is a crazy story told by none other than William H. Bonney, Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid himself. Billy was riding between the Capitan Mountains and Lincoln, New Mexico. He'd escaped from jail. This was on July 22nd, 1879. He was on the run and trying to avoid the noose. Billy was riding along the rim of a gorge, of a gulch, planning to head to the high country to find elk. He figured he could hide out, eat some elk, and everything would be cool. He noticed clothing and other belongings in the gorge below. Needing water and food, he decided to investigate. It took him a while to get down there, but when he finally did, he found an overturned wagon. There was also 12 dead bodies, all naked, lined up in a row. There were men, women, and kids. They all had perfect circular holes in their bodies about the size of glass jars. Some had holes through their faces and their insides could be plainly seen. The holes were neat and precise. The bodies had been there for days and were rotting. He felt as though he was being watched. He immediately drew his pistol and looked around. A distance off, back the way he had come, he saw something move into the trees. It was no animal that he had ever seen. He didn't know what it was. He reflexively fired at it, but wasn't sure if he hit it or not. He yelled out for whoever it was to show themselves, but nothing or nobody did. He decided against investigating it and instead searched the wagon for supplies, finding dried food and other stuff. He filled his saddlebags, all the while keeping watch. He was very, very scared. That would freak me too. You have to understand, Billy the Kid was like 19 or 20, 21, whatever, in that range. A young kid, a young man, not. And yeah, he was a gunfighter and all that, but stuff. The paranormal freaks everybody. I've seen seasoned military veterans freak out when stuff happens they don't understand. Just saying. Now, Billy had to get water from the stream there, and when he got to the stream, he found fresh blood pooled on a rock. As he dismounted with his canteen, a soft voice behind him said, "Mister, help me." He drew his pistol and wheeled around. There was nothing there, but the bushes were moving as though something was coming at him. He cocked his pistol and whatever it was stopped. He called out to it, but there was no answer. After a few minutes, whatever it was fled back through the bushes the way that it came, through the trees. Billy didn't know what it was, and rather than follow it, he opted to fill his canteen and get the hell out of there. Can't blame him. I would too. He rode for several hours and decided to make camp. He made camp with his back to a cliff face, so nothing could sneak up behind him. He cooked food and went to sleep. He was awakened by hot breath in his face. He thought it was his horse, but realized that there was something standing over him, breathing in his face. He drew his pistol, and whatever it was took off in a flash without making a sound. It was not any animal he had ever seen. He stoked his fire to a good size, which was not a good thing for a man on the run to do, but he sat awake there until dawn. When the sun came up, he got a few hours nap, and then he rode on. He spent the day in fear, looking all around and jumping at every little sound. That afternoon, he killed an elk and began processing the meat and preserving it with salt that he had taken from the wagon. Excuse me. Drinking coffee. I made blueberry coffee. Excellent. Gotta have good coffee in your life. He slept good that first night, and in the morning, he went over the hill to the stream for water. As he returned, he felt like he was being watched again. That night, he built a huge fire and was trying to stay up just in case whatever it was came back. So he's there at the fire, and behind him he heard, "Mister, help me." Something grabbed him and threw him a distance into a tree. As he lay there trying to recover and get up, he heard his horse screaming he said it was horrific. It was hideous. He'd never heard a horse scream like that before. He got to his feet and ran for the stream. He followed it away from his camp all night until he fell from exhaustion and passed out. He awoke when the sun was high. He had a choice to make, basically. Go back to camp or head to town. Now, town meant law and a noose. And he was curious about his horse, so he followed the stream back. He felt that the horse was probably dead because, making all that noise. But, he had to find out. He got curious. His horse's head was missing, and there were some circular holes in her body as before with the other people. The tracks in the area were those of a small child, except that the toes had talons. He gathered what he could and walked several days to Lincoln, where he stole a horse and rode on for San Patricio. He had people there that would help him. Now, later on, Billy got captured, and he recounted this story a year later. He'd gotten captured a year later, and he told the story. Deputy Romero and several men rode up and found the bodies, verifying Billy's story. Romero kept a skull and some of the bones, and they've been passed down through the generations. And they sometimes they'll show them to people, but not very many. A while back, I did a video on human mutilations, aliens taking humans and mutilating them and dropping the bodies back. Very similar to the cattle mutilations. Could this be an early example? We don't know. Do the little gray aliens people see have talons on their toes? I don't know. That's just a weird damn story. Now, again, one could argue Billy was trying to garner sympathy or tell a tale to embolden his reputation, but if he was doing that, why would he say he was scared? A lot of that didn't make any sense. To me, that story has a ring of truth to it. That's all I'm saying. I hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all. There is a house in New Orleans where the monsters all hang out. When the police detective, who happens to be a skinwalker squirrel, uncovers a plot by a paranormal perpetrator, he has to enlist the aid of his fellow housemates. If you enjoy a modern, quirky take on historical mythology, check out my new original novel, The House Off Farrago Road.